A lot is going on with Red as always. I have in my hands an Epic camera. So this is the camera that's working on many of the biggest movies in the world right now, including, of course, Peter Jackson's The Hobbit. He's been shooting with the Epics. He's got 48 of them on that job. And then the new Spider-Man, which will come out relatively soon, is wrap production on Epic cameras. Baz Luhrmann's doing a new Great Gatsby. There's a new Wizard of Oz movie being shot by Sam Raimi, the director of the previous Spider-Man. And he's shooting that movie on multiple Epics. Ridley Scott made a movie called Prometheus, which is the new Aliens project, on multiple Epics. That's just a small selection of some of the movies that have been done. Total Recall's another one. There's Terrence Malick's new movie called Parker's another one. The list goes on and on. All because of the resolution capabilities of this camera, the amazing dynamic range, and of course the small size and form factor. So it's sort of this magic combination of a very tiny camera that's really the most powerful digital cinema camera on the planet right now. There's no surprise it's become so popular.
Just want to give us some updates on product-wise.
Yeah, probably the biggest update that a lot of people are interested in right now relates to the Red camera family and our newest product called Scarlet X. For those who have been tracking Red for a long time, we were working on a product with a smaller sensor than the Epic and the Red one called Scarlet, which have a 3K resolution, a 3K sensor. And over time, as we were developing it, we realized that wasn't really where our company was valuing in terms of the importance of real true cinema resolution. So we actually retooled that project and re-announced it just a week or so ago into something called Scarlet X, which is actually the same 5K sensor that goes in the Epic, the super high-end motion picture camera. Still quite affordable, the Epic. It's very inexpensive for what it is. But we took the same 5K sensor and used some of the chips that don't quite meet the speed specifications. The quality specifications are there, just the speed specifications for processing, for data processing. And they went into the new Scarlet, which is 5K stills, 4K motion pictures, at a price point for under 10,000 US dollars. So that's created quite a stir in the market, especially when a number of other manufacturers have announced their new products that are still only touching HD resolutions for their deliverables. And we're, of course, 4 to 5 times that resolution. In 5K mode on this camera, every frame of an Epic file is 14 megapixels per frame, whether that's a motion or a still image. Compare that to, say, an Alexa camera shooting ProRes, which is about 2 megapixels in HD. So there's a massive, massive difference. There's a big reason why so many projects, big budget, small budget, independent, are choosing this camera over the other cameras out on the market, is because this camera is truly the superior digital cinema device. The specs, the workflow, the way that we drive, media records on this small little card, and the entire camera is on board, right? So this is basically the full working configuration. In this case, I have the camera sort of set up in a stills motion hybrid mode. I have a Canon mount on this camera. You see I have a Canon EF lens on here, the 50mm still prime lens. The other cameras here, you can get some B-roll and see they have some Canon zoom lenses, and then of course we have our PL mount cameras for the cinema lenses. So the ability to take this camera and work it in a handheld mode similar to an SLR, but know that you're shooting high-end motion pictures and stills simultaneously with one device. That's why we are what we are and why these cameras have become so popular. Yeah, there's a lot of cameras that have come into the marketplace after Red, paying attention to our success and looking to sort of play catch up, right? And they're putting product out into the market. I would yet to say there's any real valid competition per se, because all of those other cameras on the market today are much lower resolution. They're TV resolution cameras. They're not cinema resolution cameras. Sony, of course, has their f/65 that's coming. We haven't seen it on the market yet, but we know that's coming. And we give Sony a lot of credit for actually getting into the digital cinema game and not the digital HD TV game for acquisition. I think they've appropriately realized that after 5 years of the Red One and now the Epic dominating the marketplace for digital cinema, that HD is not good enough for their high-end line So they're going to get into a real competitive market. Of course, their camera from a form factor is much larger. Price point, of course, is quite a bit different. But at least they're on the right track. They're not building an HD camera for cinema anymore. And I think they deserve a lot of credit for that. The other companies, we've yet to see anything beyond HD. So we'll see. If you asked when we first started this revolution that we've been on for the last 5 years, if digital cinema would really completely replace film in terms of acquisition, post-production, and delivery, I would say the forward-thinking people would say absolutely. But there were a lot of people that said, I don't know, it might still take a while. Flash forward to today, I think if you ask that same question, I don't think anybody would say that they believe that film is going to be the relevant medium for acquisition and distribution in the future. Everybody would say it's going to be digital. There'll be less and less movies shot with film. Film is still, of course, important from a historical standpoint, but as people that have tracked the world know, the reason why Red got into the business of making cameras is as that transition was happening, as film was reaching its retirement and starting to basically become the product of the past, similar to like a typewriter compared to a laptop or an iPad, that someone had to really pay attention to what was important about film, what was valuable about film. Incredible pictures, incredible resolution, incredible dynamic range, and bring that into the digital age. No one before Red was doing that. There were some science experiments, but no one was really bringing a product to market that could be shot like a movie camera and actually create mass adoption and mass use. Red became that company, and now there are a lot of companies looking to see how they can be like Red, which is interesting because we were the company that no one knew about a few years ago. Now everybody knows about us because we're on the biggest movies in the world constantly, and others are paying attention to that. So if you look at what this camera is, it's a digital motion picture camera. It's not a video camera. It's a high resolution acquisition tool that is respectful to the art of film. And when you see movies shot with this camera, you know why. Because the resolution we put out with the Red 1 is equal to 35mm film, and this camera actually exceeds it. So when we bring directors and producers into the studio and they see footage shot on the Epic projected on a very large movie screen, we have a 40-foot movie screen at our Red Studios Hollywood, they all look at it and they just look around and go, I'm seeing something I didn't expect. I see something I could only characterize as digital IMAX. It's beyond what I would expect to see from any digital camera, and actually even beyond what I would expect to see from 35mm film. So now our digital progress in this market, displaying things in 4K, which is very important to us, after acquiring them now in 5K, so we're downsampling to deliver to 4K, is a really important part of where we are. We're at InterBEE today in Japan. If you wander around this show floor, you'll see 4K monitors, you'll see 4K displays, you'll see 4K projection, people talking about, and not only demonstrating the future, but actually putting it into people's hands like this.
So it's no more experimental projects?
These are not experiments anymore. Red, in fact, is working on our own 4K projection system that we'll deliver into the marketplace relatively soon. That will do 4K resolution. We'll also do 3D resolution at high frame rate. You know, Peter Jackson is shooting Hobbit at 48 frames a second. So he expects delivery of that at 48 frames a second in cinemas. The projection manufacturers and the server manufacturers are preparing for that future, and so are we. So if you look at what we are as a company, we're not just a camera company. We're a digital imaging, digital cinema company. So being the best motion picture imaging company in the world is what we do for a living. Scarlet X is coming very soon. You know, the dates have been announced. You can check our website, red.com, and they're literally starting to ship any day now. It's sort of the end of November right now. So we announced roughly the end of November, beginning of December, you're going to see deliveries. We're on track for that. The orders are off the chart, so if you want one, go to the red.com web store and put an order in, because the list is getting longer and longer every day. Based on that price point and that price performance curve of a 4K motion picture camera that also does 5K stills and slow motion at various resolution rates for under $10,000, you can imagine that we're getting a lot of interest in that camera.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Ted.
Sure.